Tonight we want to focus on what happened on the calendar date of September 19th, 1965. That is when Srila Prabhupada arrived in New York on the Jaladuta. So tonight we want to celebrate that extraordinary event, and we'll discuss the prayers he wrote when he first landed in North America from India at the Boston Harbor. The ship stopped at the Boston Harbor for 2 days or so, and then proceeded to its final destination of New York. And while the ship was berthed temporarily, briefly at the Boston Harbor, Srila Prabhupada wrote that poem, Markine Bhagavat Dharma, so eloquently describing his expectations upon landing in the USA. And remember, on the ship, on the way over, he's expressing how far I am away from Vrindavan, and how reading Chaitanya Charitamrita was the nourishment, the only nourishment he had coming to such a strange place. So first, let's focus on Sri Vrindavan Mahamrita Kirtan. And try to get a drop of what Srila Prabhupada left behind to come to the Wild West. Eventually even winding up in New Zealand, of all places. Start. Jaya Radha, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinatha, Madana Mohan. Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan. Jaya Gopalan Sri Damani Jaya Jaya Dinuvasala Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Abhiranagari Jaya Jaya Krishna Sakka Bhakti Jaya Jaya Vrindavasi Jata Jana Bhakti Jaya Govinda Chara Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Savamara. Dina Krishna Dasa Kare Namo Sankirtan. Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana So for those of you who came in later, today is the calendar day, September 19th, on which in 1965, Srila Prabhupada came on the Jaladuta and disembarked in New York. So as we explained before, the ship had stopped for a couple of days, briefly in the Boston harbor, and then continued on to New York. Srila Prabhupada cleared immigration in Boston. Everyone disembarked from the boat in Boston, even though they were going on to New York. And he had a 3-month visa. The immigration officer stamped him in for 3 months. And he thought, I'll just stay 2 months. So he wrote in the Boston harbor while the ship was temporarily berthed there, the poem Markine Bhagavad Dharma, which we'll go over tonight. And then the ship continued on to New York, where he disembarked, and as he said, when he walked off the ship, he had no reason whether to turn right or left. Everything was completely unknown. Can you imagine? And he had with him 40 rupees. Of course, the rupee was worth more back then than now, but still 40 rupees across the ocean, all the way from India, through the Suez Canal, through the Mediterranean, across the Atlantic, 40 rupees. And he got $20 US by selling first canto Bhagavatam set to the ship's captain. And on the way, on this journey across the ocean, oceans and seas, he had 2 heart attacks, one after the other, one day after the other. And he was fearing that another heart attack, so painful, that would be the end. But on the 3rd night, he had a dream of his being in a rowboat and Krishna rowing the boat, saying, "Come along, don't worry." And the rest of the journey across the Atlantic, the captain of the ship said, "This is the most peaceful crossing I've ever been on. You should come with us on every trip." So again and again, he wrote in his diary that the only thing that nourishes him, keeps him in spiritual nourishment, was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, where he was tasting, he said, the nectarine of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. So he arrived in New York and had no reason whether, when disembarking, coming down the stairs from the ship, or the gangplank, or whatever it was, should I turn right? Should I turn left? There was a representative of a society called Traveler's Aid, like a volunteer organization to assist travelers unfamiliar with where they're going. Back in the days when people were more compassionate and merciful. Just a volunteer or society to help others. Civic, we call it civic organizations. They still have those in New Zealand, or it's all? So he was supposed to go to Pennsylvania, to Butler, Pennsylvania, which is a bit of a bus ride away. The family that was supposed to board him, who had given him an invitation to come from India, never thought he would have really come. It was an American lady married to an Indian man. And the Indian man's relatives in India would always send them requests. Please invite this sadhu, please invite that sadhu. But none of them ever came. So they never expected Prabhupada to come. So it was a bit of a surprise when the Traveler's Aid lady contacts this family in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's about, I would estimate, 6 to 8 hour bus ride away. The family was surprised. He's actually coming. Before leaving New York, immediately after disembarking, he said, let me book my return ticket. He went to the the boat shipping company's office, because Jaladuta was mainly a cargo ship. And he said, book me a return in 2 months. Fortunately, that never happened. Fortunately for us. So from the New York Harbor, he went to Butler, Pennsylvania, and stayed at the home of this couple, American wife, Indian husband, and their children. And as you know, after some time, he went back to New York. And the family was thinking, he doesn't know anyone there. It's winter time coming. So the weather is already getting cold. If you've ever spent a long time in India and then come back to Wellington in the middle of the winter, that's nothing compared to what it's like a New York winter. New York can be blazing hot in the summer and freezing cold in the winter. So the lady, after Prabhupada stayed there for some time, and she said, this is the most, actually when I think about it, this is the most fun I ever had in my life. She was an ordinary housewife. Are housewives ordinary? I don't know. Who says yes? Who says no? But she was no ordinary housewife because she got to serve Prabhupada in that way for some time before he left to go to New York. And as you'll see in this video clip we're about to show, in this rural town called Butler, Pennsylvania, what can I compare it to? Not Palmerston North, but what's that town southeast of Palmerston North?
Building?
No, the other way. No, that's the wrong way. Other way. Huh? No. Yeah, who said that? What is it? Yeah. How many been to Paiutua? So that's what it's like for Srila Prabhupada to be in Butler, Pennsylvania. And then he had to take a bus there and stay there for some time with that family. He would preach in a few of the churches, introduce the people to Bhagavad Dharma, and then she amazingly watched him leave for New York, knowing no one, just having a chutter. So we'll watch this video clip and then we'll describe. I would like to, for my own purification, present what it was like for me in September 1965. All right. We can see the video clip. So watching this, I began to reminisce. What was I doing? A lost, conditioned soul in September 1965 when Srila Prabhupada landed in New York. And then in October 65 when he returned to New York after that month in remote Butler, Pennsylvania. Maybe some of you, I don't know how many of you were around in this lifetime, in this body, in 1965. Anyone? How old were you, Krishnaloka, in 65? 1 year old. 1 year old. Anyone else? Only, no one else. I was 14 turning 15. And I had just left the city. I had a scholarship to a super elitist Richie boy school. So I was overwhelmed with the shock of being in such a situation in the mountains of New Hampshire. It's like being sent to school in the mountains of Queenstown or something. Very beautiful, not as beautiful as New Zealand, of course, but totally different environment from a pure city boy as me. And then thrust in the midst of the richest kids in North America. Sometimes they would fight. Your father is filthy rich, he's worth 1 billion. My father is humble, he's worth 500 million. Children of all the big dynasties in the USA, whose family names were attached to shipping lines and typewriters and all kinds of commodities. So I was, in short, totally freaked out. Quite an emotional turmoil. I was about, how many hours? Probably about a 10 or 12 hour drive from home. So I didn't know anyone in that part of the USA, no relatives. And I was viewed as some kind of alien being. Little did I know, I knew nothing, that right at that time, Srila Prabhupada had landed in the USA. As you know, he spent years in Vrindavan. That's where he wrote books. He had his Back to Godhead magazine. He published and printed himself. He said something very interesting. He said, "Don't think I was sitting in Vrindavan doing nothing." He said, "I was waiting for the right time to come." So he came at a very pivotal time in U.S. history and also for the rest of the first world. The youth were in total turmoil. They were very upset with the Vietnam War. They didn't want to go to the jungles of Vietnam and fight for a war they couldn't understand what the purpose was. And of course, the hippie culture had swept the first world, starting in the USA. Young people, especially from the wealthiest families, were just leaving home and living in the streets. There was so much protest, civil rights protests, anti-war protests. It was the leader of North Vietnam, the communist part of Vietnam. There was North Vietnam and South Vietnam. You don't know these things probably. And they were fighting, and the capitalist countries were backing South Vietnam. The leader of North Vietnam, his name was Ho Chi Minh. So when the young people, thousands upon thousands of them, were marching in protest in the USA, through the streets, they would chant, "Ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh, the Viet Cong are gonna win." And the government, the police were just outraged. They couldn't, they just, the finest of the young people from the most elitist families, middle class families also, everyone, all the young people were just in uproar, aided by some psychedelics. And of course it was the time of the big rock music era. Huge festivals. Makes whatever festivals, music festivals you have here look like a street corner gathering. So it was such a time of social upheaval. You would think, this is not a good time to teach Bhakti. But remember, Prabhupada said, don't think I was sitting in Vrindavan doing nothing. I was waiting for the right time to come. So he came at a time of such social upheaval and dislocation. He said, if these young people can go out on a limb and risk taking LSD, they can certainly risk chanting Hare Krishna. So when Prabhupada landed in New York, he was 70, he had just turned 70. Right around that time, I had just turned 15. Little did I know what was going on, what had landed in my own backyard. I did not see any devotee until August of 1968. I knew nothing about Krishna, except sometimes I would listen to jazz musicians who would have songs with Krishna's name in it. I had no idea what they were talking about. But I remember I was in Detroit visiting some relatives, and I was at a concert called the Motown Revue. All the big Motown stars would come home to Detroit and do a concert together. So you saw all the big guns all at once. I was very happy about that. Then I walked out of the concert hall and I saw this person wearing saffron walking barefoot in the CBD of Detroit. Something just turned my head. I looked at it. That was it. I remember that distinctly. Something turned my head. I didn't turn my head. Something just turned my head like it was under remote control. And there I was staring at this brahmachari wearing saffron, barefoot, walking on the street. That was the style back then. That meant you were really renounced. So then, I didn't see another devotee until around probably 69, 70. I would leave school for the weekend, take a 2-hour bus ride to New York City. This is when I was in university. And I would roam in that section of the city where 2nd Avenue was, where Prabhupada made his start. I used to roam in that area because that's where all the edgy clubs were. And so something kept drawing me to that area of Manhattan. I would just wander around that area. Then once a chanting party came by, and I remember they were carrying some deities on a palanquin. This was 69, 70. And as the chanting party went by, someone stuck a Bhakti magazine and an incense stick in my hand and said, "Give a quarter, give 25 cents. I give 25 cents. And so I took the magazine to the club I was going to, and I sat down and started reading through it. Very interesting. Love of God, I've been always interested in that. That's what many musicians say is the highest. So I kept going as much as I could to that area of New York. In fact, I wanted so much to be in that area that I decided maybe I should try transferring from my school to go to school in Manhattan. New York University was right up the street from 26 2nd Avenue, right up the street. I thought, I'll transfer there. There's something in this part of the city I have to find. There's something here for me. I didn't tell my parents, of course. I was about to ask for a transfer from what in the USA is considered the topmost planetary system down to the middle planetary system. So I walked into the admissions office of New York University, sat down, and I told the admissions officer, I want to come here for school. The young man, your parents know what you're proposing. You want to come from Yale to New York University? Sure, we'll take you, no problem, but no money. Of course, money is the everything. And he said, do your parents know what you're proposing? Like you're going from Brahmaloka down to the Earth planetary system? So I abandoned that idea because no, my parents didn't know. But that shows you how much I was thinking there's something right in this area I have to find. But looking back at the history of 26 2nd Avenue and the crowd that was going there, I would have never made it. I would have never been able to hang out with such a crowd. So my good fortune didn't catch up with me until 1972. By that time, the temple had moved from 26 2nd Avenue to Brooklyn, across the river. So bear in mind, Srila Prabhupada expected to stay only 2 months, from September 65 until November 65. He had booked his return ticket for November 65. Didn't know anyone, had no idea what to do, except his Guru Maharaj had ordered him to teach Bhakti in the West. That's all he knew. So we're going to look at the prayer, Markine Bhagavatam, that he wrote while temporarily berthed on the Jaladuta in the Boston Harbor And you can, even if I'm sure many of you have read this prayer before, but it's always wonderful to refresh yourself with its utter honesty and dependency. Krishna, I don't know why you brought me here to this terrible place. When I heard that, when I first read that, it was quite a shock. New York City, a terrible place. It's the center of the universe. So let's go over those prayers. Can you put them on the screen, please? And we'll try to just sample a drop of Srila Prabhupada's pure devotion. Okay, at last. My dear Lord Krishna. We can recite it together. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. Can you imagine? We'll take it one verse at a time. Such dependency, such childlike dependency. You're kind upon me. I don't know why you brought me here, though. Now do whatever you like with me. This is pure bhakti, pure surrender to Krishna. And try to understand, he's actually feeling this way. He's not just saying these kind of things. He's actually feeling like this. Usually when we think, now you can do whatever you like with me, oh, that's dangerous. Who's going to put themselves in anyone's hands and say, now you can do whatever you like with me? But this is how dependent the pure soul is upon Krishna. And he says, this is your kindness. You're so kind upon me. Even though I don't know why you brought me here, you're so kind upon me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? It took me a couple of years to realize what he meant by New York being a terrible place. That was the only obstacle to my taking up bhakti life. Why does Srila Prabhupada call New York a terrible place? So try to see Srila Prabhupada's determination to carry out the order of his spiritual master. At the age when someone should be retired, he left India and came to the USA, landing at the age of 70, 2 heart attacks on the way. He's going to New York now knowing no one. You wouldn't go from Wellington to Auckland without knowing someone. Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they'll be able to understand it. So many times, devotees trying to do outreach, trying to cultivate, trying to distribute books say to me, what do I say to these people? How to get through to them? So you see, Srila Prabhupada is wondering the same thing. How do you get through to a population covered by passion and ignorance? And they think themselves very happy and satisfied? You go out just out the door tonight as people are cafe hopping and going to pubs and clubs, and they look very happy, don't they? Something to do. The night will be interesting. It'll be fun. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied. How much does that apply to us who are attached to the muck of material existence? Thinking we are content, thinking everything is all right. And because of that attachment, we have no taste, no kata ruchi, no taste for Vasudeva Kata, talks about Krishna. And Prabhupada is saying, I don't know how they're going to understand what I'm going to present to them. He's showing you the heart of every outreach devotee. The plea, the dependency, the hopelessness, but not ordinary hopelessness, like this situation is hopeless, but Krishna, you can make the impossible possible. So this is the amazing thing about Vaishnava hopelessness. Just like you read in Nectar Devotion, Ashabandha, I have no love for Krishna. I have no attraction for the processes of developing love of Krishna. But somehow, one day, I'll be able to have something by Krishna's mercy. So Prabhupada is sincerely expressing, I don't know how they're going to be able to understand what I'm saying. I'm sure many of you in speaking, in distributing books, you've had that feeling. Does anyone understand what I'm really talking about? Here I am distributing books and people can't even pronounce the name of the title. Just like that lady, Sally Agrawal, after all those years still couldn't pronounce Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes you ask yourself, is this for real? Am I for real? I'm in a dream or what? We'll continue. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the expert mystic. So that's something we need to explore more and more. The mercy of Krishna, especially as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How that can make everything possible. And what's the proof that it's possible? The proof is that we are here. Whether you're born in India or born outside of India, still a miracle that you are here. And then he talks about rasa. He's saying, point blank, let us read. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? O Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. The mellows of devotional service means bhakti rasa. We are always wondering, how do you explain to people about Shantaras, Dasharas, Sakyaras, Vatsayaras, Madhuryaras? The thing we fear, one of the things we fear the most is if one of your relatives or parents asks you, what about this Madhurya stuff? We don't want to go there. So Prabhupada is expressing how they understand Bhakti Rasa. But he's not giving up. He says, I'm simply praying for your mercy so that I'll be able to convince them. So he wrote his Nectar of Devotion, the summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is an amazing book because it's trying to present in one volume to an unfamiliar audience the science of Bhakti Rasa. It's a fearless book. And when, Krishna willing, early next year when we come out with, when the BBT comes out with 5 volumes of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you're going to be shocked. How did Srila Prabhupada get all that summarized in one book? Just like I was telling others about teachings of Lord Chaitanya. It's a miraculous book, and then it takes all this various siksha in Chaitanya Charitamrita. To Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, to Prakashananda Saraswati, to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Ramananda Roy. All that siksha, all those instructions are there in one book. So I've been recommending to distributors, when you distribute a set of Chaitanya Charitamrita, distribute the teachings of Lord Chaitanya along with it. Don't think that teachings of Lord Chaitanya is now superfluous because the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita is there. It's such an ingenious encapsulation of all the instructions given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let us continue. All living entities have come under the control of illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. This is a key point. We are so dependent, so helpless, we can't forget Krishna without his help. What speak of remember Krishna? That's why in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I'm situated in your heart, sarvasya chaham vriddhi sanivishto. And from me, Krishna says, comes all knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So if you want to forget about Krishna, you need his help. Similarly, if you want to forget your material desires, you need Krishna's help. So this is the point, that by Krishna's will, all living entities have come under the control of Maya, so therefore it can work the other way too. By Krishna's will, they can be released from Maya. So now, what is the turning point? That's the next verse. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. I wish that you may deliver them. The devotee's desire is more powerful than Krishna's desire. The pure devotee's desire is key. And then you see that the interplay between Guru and Krishna, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij, by the combined mercy of Guru and Krishna. So the devotee is desiring, let them be delivered. And because that desire is pure, Krishna is influenced. This gives you insight into what actually happens when you're distributing books, especially Krishna in your heart, in the heart of the book distributor, perceives your sincerity. And then Krishna in the heart of the person you're approaching says, take this book. But it can also go the other way. Even though the devotee may be sincere, the other person doesn't want to know anything about Krishna. So Krishna, in the heart, fulfills their desire. You don't want to know about me. Keep walking. Don't stop. How many times are these people going to bother you? So Sankirtan involves deep coordination with the Paramatma. It may take you a while to see that, but that's where the power of book distribution really is. Coordinating with the super soul in the heart. So on book distribution, You'll meet persons who you thought would never take a book. And then persons you thought, oh, this person looks cool, this person looks so pious. This person's from India. Surely he or she will take a book. And each time you're wrong. Your perception is off the mark. Someone shocks you who you thought would never take a book. They take a book. I often ask devotees, when I was at ISB, ISKCON, Silicon Valley, for Radhastami, I asked the devotees there, because their Indian congregation is very powerful into book distribution. So I asked them, if you saw someone looking like me on books, when you're out on book distribution, would you have stopped me? Big hairstyle, like, well, if you're from India, I'll say Sai Baba hairstyle. If you're from the West, I'll say Jimi Hendrix hairstyle. Long cow killer suede coat. Wearing the latest New York fashions. So real Sankirtan is a activity done in coordination with the super soul in the heart. So Prabhupada is expressing that. By your will, they've forgotten you. By your will, they can remember you. And I wish that you may deliver them. This is a very crucial point. Krishna fulfills the desires of his pure devotees. Because I wish that you may deliver them. If you also desire that, then they'll be able to understand. Just like I always consider it a miracle that someone would come here for a program. Why? Because that's the beginning of surrender. You may not take it in that way, but that's what's going on. Oh, let me go to Bhakti Lounge. I'll check the place out. See what's happening there. For whatever reason they may have. I'm going there because of the food. Or like Gopal Guru Prabhu started out, going there because the girls look nice. Well, they may have so many reasons. But that's the beginning of surrender. Similarly, when they take a book from you on Sankirtan, that's the beginning of surrender. Maybe that's all they'll do in this lifetime, but that eternal credit is theirs, never to be erased. And as we've repeated so many times, if they just take the book in their hands and appreciate it, interesting. No, give it back. Not today. That slight appreciation is enough to give them a human form of life in their next birth. It's the beginning of Shraddha, the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. It's the beginning of their surrender to Krishna. So we go on. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if the sober person really receives this conversation, then they will be able to understand the message. So you ever wonder why is Prabhupada so fixed on Srimad Bhagavatam? Because it is the direct presence of Krishna. I wonder how many of you read Bhagavatam with that kind of aspiration to realize that. Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary presence of Krishna. Can it actually be so? If you proceed in that way with complete conviction, Bhagavatam will reveal its glories to you. Otherwise, from a mundane point of view, it doesn't make sense, does it? You're telling me this book is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of God. I mean, really. First of all, I don't believe there's a Supreme Personality of God. And secondly, I don't read any books. So this is our mundane polluted consciousness. But if we, in the association of devotees, that's why hearing and chanting in the association of devotees is so important. Because the taste and potency of discussing Bhagavatam amidst sincere devotees becomes magnified. So now you can recite those verses from Bhagavatam, the English. Sri Krishna.
Shri Krishna, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, claims his desires and material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee of relationships and sisters, which shines no other churches in our Buddha and Shanta. Regularly Bhagavatam and service unto the true devotee, all the instructions of the heart like the hand of the instruments, and run service unto the glorious Lord, whose praise and his songs is established as a irrevocable fact. At that time, when the service is established in the heart, the noise of passion, avarice, and ignorance comes, the lust and desire of harm disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes happy. Thus established in love of goodness, and rejuvenated by love service to the Lord, gains liberation from material association, mukti, and comes to the scientific personality of God. Thus the master of the heart is almost things and cuts to pieces. The chain of good actions, karma, is eliminated when one sees itself as a master.
So we need this kind of dedication to Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's why when someone buys a set of Srimad Bhagavatams, it's so amazing. Whether on Bhadra Purnima or any day. It's a miracle. It was in November of '72 that I decided to talk to a devotee. After reading the books at home for 6 months, hours a day. And my first words to a devotee were, "Do you have Srimad Bhagavatam?" Somehow or other I had that great fortune to utter those words. So now Srila Prabhupada describes the effects of such association with Srimad Bhagavatam. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. Yay! But if you don't stick to the regimen, how do you expect the result to come about? So now he's presenting his own lack of qualification. This is the wonderful thing about giving Krishna's mercy to others as an instrument. You feel so unqualified while doing that. I've talked to many devotees doing outreach, especially distributing books, and you tell someone what the book is about, you show them something in the book, and you find yourself saying, "Hey, that sounds pretty good to me." Anyone had that experience? Raise your hand. Hey, I must admit, that sounds pretty good. Maybe I should read the book. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so I can convince them about powerless to do so on my own. How can someone, an emissary from the spiritual world, actually say, I'm very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen? This is the effect of pure bhakti. You never think you have enough Krishna. You always think so much more Krishna to be had. So we're getting a clear picture of how the pure devotee feels, I'm powerless to do this task on my own. He's not stressing his material qualification. He's not stressing his self-esteem. He's just expressing the facts. I'm powerless to do this on my own. Therefore, I'm seeking your benediction. It's teamwork, you see. The will of the devotee and the will of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada knows that he's representing the will of Krishna because he's following the order of his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. What? Make me a success or failure? Make me a success! Otherwise, I'm not doing this service. I want success. That's how we think, right? Oh, Krishna, make me successful. No failure. No failure. Otherwise, I'm giving up. Either I'm a success, or that's it. No more service for me. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Oh, I love that last part. You can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. That's the most potent motivation and mentality for presenting Krishna. You can transform the power of my speaking. Yes, you may take courses in public speaking. You can go to Toastmasters. I'm not saying don't do it, but those things are auxiliary, very auxiliary. The main principle is, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Such conviction. When will we have a drop of such conviction? This is not just being religious. This is not being a religious believer. This is solid conviction based on experience of the Bhakti Yoga process. This is not simply believe and you'll be saved. This is the science of transcendental sound vibration, how it purifies the heart. When this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened. Just like when we have the Sunday programs, when so many guests come, or when we had the uni program a few days ago, 160 students listening, hearing the Maha Mantra, which is the most important part of the program, regardless of my babble. Hearing the Maha Mantra, and then taking sumptuous prasad after. Shout out to Garanga Mahan. Oh, those donuts. Oh, they look so good. Even I was tempted to take one, but I didn't. Too much sugar. But just what every student wants, a sugary donut. Oh, they were all so happy. I wandered through the crowd, asked them, how do you like dinner? Oh, it was very good. So this pleases Lord Chaitanya. Their hearts have been penetrated and they're feeling gladdened. Maybe you won't see the result in this lifetime, but that's their eternal asset. And we get the credit for trying. For trying to penetrate their hearts with the transcendental message. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord, make me dance as you like. Again, normally people would consider this to be a weakness. I'm just a puppet in your hands. Who wants to be a puppet? We want to be masters, controllers, enjoyers. Puppet in someone's hands? What a horrible condition. Meanwhile, we are solidly in the grip of material nature. That's all right. Solidly in the grip of material desires. That's all right. But to be completely in the grip of Krishna, like a puppet? Oh, too much. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhakti Vedanta, and now if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhakti Vedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. On board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, dated 18th of September, 1965. So it's always wonderful to revisit this poem from time to time. And it penetrates our heart as to what is the proper mentality, the proper consciousness for outreach. And we are servants of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, so we're always trying to give Krishna to others. But it seems so impossible. Just like I was telling the young people at Vic, what we were discussing last weekend, I said, do you know you're the most unhappy generation? You remember we were discussing last week how usually the most unhappy generation is middle age, midlife crisis. And then when you become older, in old age, the senior years, you become resigned to your fate. I guess that's just the way life is. Let me play with the grandchildren, that's the only thing that makes sense. So traditionally, the middle-aged years are the most unhappy years. You haven't enjoyed materially enough, and your body is about to get old. So you're panicking. But as we explained, now something unprecedented has happened. Those in the age group between 18 and 30 are the most unhappy group. They can see the whole world is, with its dreams, are falling apart. Such uncertainty, that's what nags them the most, that's what affects them the most. The uncertainty. Nothing is tied down securely. Politically, economically, relationships, everything is just up in the air. Here today, gone tomorrow. The men, the boys, have been on pornography, most of them since the age of 10. So ladies are wondering, what's with these guys? Well, that's what's with them. They're bottom feeding at the bottom of Kali Yuga. And the ladies are totally emotionally devastated. So the combination of the two, men addicted to pornography since the age of 10, and ladies emotionally devastated through so many attempts at relationships, or even a few attempts which were so traumatic. So the ladies are emotionally devastated. This combination is producing an epidemic of mental health problems, anxiety, depression. This is going on. Because sometimes you all are wondering, where are the young people? Well, this is where they are. It's all hitting at once. The top medical officer in the USA said, we have a youth mental health pandemic. Somehow they're in this environment, we have to go on giving out Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So it can seem hopeless and helpless, but then just think, you are here. Isn't that a miracle to begin with? Don't forget, you are here. Whether you're from India or New Zealand or wherever, you're being situated in devotional service and chanting Hare Krishna is a miracle. Thursday rather, just yesterday, yes. We had a nice program, 30 persons came for the topic, humans, why and what to do. And I could see they're totally bewildered. They've never considered these questions before. Everyone just, as Prabhupada writes in his poem, and it's even much more intense now than what he saw in his times, everyone is just drifting along without thinking. There's no incentive given by society to think about these questions. So I had to try to be careful. Don't shake them too much. The mind just gets blown. Why am I a human being? Okay, take it easy, Swami. Why do I have a human body? Slow down, Swami. What am I trying to achieve with my human body? Okay, they're looking at me like, helplessly like. So you have to have compassion and sympathy. So we're in the midst of a social fabric disintegration more than ever. Srila Prabhupada faced insurmountable obstacles, and we face insurmountable obstacles today. Maybe a little different, but one of my godbrothers, he attended the first 26 Second Avenue gatherings, 1968 or so. And he was always taking psychedelics. If there were know what a psychedelic is, it's LSD. So Prabhupada was in that storefront, that one-room storefront, giving a Bhagavad Gita class, and in walks this person. And in the middle of the lecture, Prabhupada had to ask him, so-and-so, are you on LSD? In the middle of the Bhagavad Gita class, can you imagine? And the person said, no. He thought that because I had taken the LSD the night before, therefore I was being truthful by saying, no, I'm not on LSD. But he was still he was tripped out, as they say. So that's what Prabhupada had to deal with. Imagine you're speaking, and Krishna says, and Arjuna said, are you on LSD? He did not at all become a bhakta until practically 20 years later he shows up. Now he's a Swami. I have another sannyasi godbrother who was in Boston. Was part of a construction crew. Like so many at that time, he dropped out of the uni, didn't want to study, even though he was very brilliant. And so he took a job as a carpenter, part of a construction crew, and they were fixing up one store, fitting it out, as I think they say, shop fitting. And then a chanting party marched by on the street, and he and his friends just shouted profanities. Then one day, he decided to visit the temple for the Sunday feast. So in his vehicle, he drove, parked the vehicle, was about to get out, and then he thought to himself, wait a minute, if I go in there, I'm not coming out. He just jumped back into his car and drove away. Now he's a wonderful kirtan leader, among many other services and qualities. And of course, you know about my falling condition. That was May of '72. I had purchased that Back to Godhead magazine around 1970. And I put it in a place in my room where I thought this is nice. I always wanted to hear about love of God. I don't know what happened. The magazine disappeared. I didn't see another devotee until television in May of '72. And you know my reaction. I won't repeat it. So what I want to emphasize tonight is our complete dedication to Srimad Bhagavatam. I was reading the past few days in the morning, the 5th canto. There's so many descriptions, like, whoa, Jambu Dweep, this, that, the other. You realize how tiny and insignificant your sense perception is. Is Shukadeva Goswami just speaking mythology, or is he? Because we don't have the ability with our material senses to either deny or verify what he's saying. You feel so helpless. If you're smart, you'll think, I can't disagree because I don't have the ability to disagree. Okay, maybe I can't agree because I can't see it with my material senses. That you can't agree with it with your material senses also means you can't disagree with it. You don't know. Therefore, you have to take the Bhagavatam's process of advanced, purified sense perception. So dedication to Srimad Bhagavatam dedication to the Maha Mantra. For me, the most important part of the lecture I gave at the uni was chanting Hare Krishna at the end. Everything else is just to kind of get them to be submissive and listen. You may notice my technique. I jump from this to that, always one step ahead of them. Because they're always going to try to put you in a box. Oh, religion. Oh, this. Oh, that. But before they can do that, I'm on to something else. It's like, what was it? The devotee in charge of Wales, Tarkanath Prabhu, told me it's like watching a lightweight boxer just bobbing and ducking. It's quite demanding, quite absorbing. You have to really be focused. Stay one step ahead of their cynical, doubting mind. So it's to keep them from dozing off, because they don't know what I'm going to say next. So I mix it all up. If you want to know my technique, I mix it all up. They don't. What's he going to say next? Oh, that. Oh, that. So it keeps them on. My goal is to keep them on the edge of their seat. We don't know where this guy's coming from next. Sounds interesting, though. One of my godbrothers sannyasis told me, he said, Devarita Swami, you're like the Pied Piper. Speak and weave a spell on them. Whatever it is, I'm praying to Krishna. How am I going to touch their head and their heart? I have to find the right blend for the particular audience. So I'm feeling so helpless. I'm feeling so hopeless. How are these people going to understand what I'm saying? Why should they care? Are they here just for the meal? Maybe they are. It's a good start. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us the master course in how to act on Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Some people are going to take some time. I was speaking to one lady at the loft. Just like our Joel is a specialist in sound, she's a specialist in lighting. Maybe you've come across her. Oh, there, yes. You might know her. She does lighting for all the big shows, the big concerts. So she's chanting at least 16 rounds a day now. She told me, because she just started coming to the loft at the urging of a friend a few months ago. She said, I've been meaning to come for 12 years. It's a typical Auckland response. I hear it so many times from Aucklanders. Yeah, look, I've had it in my mind to come for the past 10 years. Not like Wellington, where people want to do something, they do it. Auckland, they're just kind of non-committal. Do you have any Aucklanders here? Non-committal, like the weather. Yeah, loft, yeah, oh yeah, I remember 10 years ago I was thinking to come on a Sunday. So, as always, Lord Chaitanya has given us so much work to do. Let's not be selfish. According to our capacity, according to our situations, let's give all we can for Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan mission. All right, any questions?